Can I ask you to recall the day you walked into Rijkshaven Bank and got yourself a loan or borrowed money or whatever you did and got that BRM drive, just to show that it is possible for drivers with talent to go and make it happen?
No, it's always the same. Like today, it's the same like in the 70s. I had to have a sponsor to bring along to pay for my inexperience in the first year to damage cars and engines and whatsoever. And I had a sponsor lined up to go to March at the time. And unfortunately, my sponsor, because my grandfather interfered being the chairman of a bank, that it didn't happen in the end. And then I had to go and find more money or the same money again. And the only way I had is through a credit. So basically I went for a loan to overcome this shortcoming of a sponsor and then started running with margin for one.
How did you get a loan without capital?
I had to give them a life insurance because the first question was, if it get killed, what's going to happen? I said, fine, I go and pay myself a life insurance. And I have to say, then I negotiated with them and said, but the sponsorship you have on my helmet, you have to pay for the interest rate yourself. So the bank gave me a free loan to be paid back in 5 years with no interest rate, because this was the advertising I made for them.
But what if you'd never made it? Would you still have paid the money back? Was there any clause in there that if you'd never made Formula One?
No, I had to pay the money back. It was a normal standard loan.
And you were prepared to do that?
I had to. I have to. I paid it back when I had the Ferrari drive.
Yeah, but what if you hadn't got that? How would you have paid the money back? What would you have done, do you think?
I don't know. Work somewhere else and get the money together and pay it back. I mean, it was clear for me that I have to pay it back. I was educated like this.
So the bottom line is you had enough self-belief and determination to take that risk, because it was a risk by any standard.
But I had to take the risk because 5 minutes before the whole thing was signed, my sponsor stopped. So everything was lined up normally, like today, you bring a sponsor and off you go. And then I had a crisis like you do not believe, because the sponsor suddenly wasn't there anymore. And then I had to find this credit line to keep me running.
I remember you in that, in the 73 BRM, at Silverstone particularly. It was not an easy car to drive that. I remember standing on the apex of Copse Corner, quite big understeer, but right on the edge, right on the edge. It looked scary.
No, but I have to tell
from
you,
the inside of Copse.
The loan I had to take to drive for March. Yeah, and then March was bankrupt by the end of the year. So for me, the situation was worse.
72, yeah.
72, because I had no car and paid the money. And then I got my way through Louis Stanley's negotiations in the autumn as a third driver to Beltoise, Regazzoni, Brad Langer.
Bernd Schuppen?
No.
Yeah, Bernd was there too.
Bernd Schuppen and me.
Yeah.
And then I promised again sponsorship, which I didn't have, and convinced I had until April to pay the first rate of the sponsorship, because this is what I negotiated, hoping to perform. And then my next question was, if I'm now be your driver swapping seats with the other one, I want to be the first to start the season. Logic. And Stanley didn't understand what I was after, and he let me be the first. And then, thank God, in Johannesburg, in Kyalami, Regazzoni got hurt because he was burned in the car very little.
Yeah, Mike Hale.
And then I kept going because I never had to switch to the other. I lost the race because of Regazzoni's accident. Then I would have been out and the other guy in the car. And so I made my way all the way until May in Monaco. And in Monaco, I was lying third, I think, in the car with driving in front of the Ferraris.
I remember.
Yeah, doing a very good job. And then that evening, Stanley came to me and said, listen, I know that you have troubles with your sponsorship. I offer you now a free drive because I believe in your
Wow.
in your performance.
So there's another lesson, Niki. If you don't have a sponsor, tell the team you've got one and just wing it.
But wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. Because whenever I left Salzburg, where I had an office shared with my cousin, and there was a secretary there, whenever I left, I said, whenever Ferrari calls, contact me immediately. This was the running joke. And after Monte Carlo dinner on Sunday night, where Stanley offered me the free drive for 2 years, this season and the next season, I came home, and Monday morning, the secretary rang me and said, Ferrari called. I said, don't give me this bullshit. No. Call this guy, Montezemolo, and he wants to see you. So, called him, long story short, went down on Tuesday to Maranello, and they offered me a drive. So I said, shit. So, but as in my honest way, I went to call, said to the commendatore, I've signed a contract with BRM yesterday, or I have a commitment. And the old man said to me, don't worry, I'm going to sort this out. So from my point of view, I thought they will find an arrangement or whatever. So I asked again when I signed the contract, you going to sort this BRM out? Yeah, we're going to sort this BRM out.
And he did.
Wait, and then I signed the Ferrari. And then the Silverstone race came, no, the Brands Hatch race came, I think. And suddenly there was a rumor in the paddock that the Ferrari, that BRM will put an injunction on the Ferrari transporters in England because of my breach of contract. And then
that would have been Silverstone, I think.
Or
British Grand Prix,
Silverstone, whatever. Yeah, I can't remember. It was Brands Hatch or Silverstone.
No, it was Silverstone, yeah.
So, and then I panicked and went to Bernie and said, Bernie, I have this problem. Don't worry, I'll fix it for you, he said. I'll never forget this. And in the end, there was no injunction. There was a fight going on for a while between Ferrari and BRM. And then Louis Stanley ran out of money, and then the BRM stopped anyway. So I was very lucky going this risky way, and then ended up with Ferrari.
Where you did a brilliant job and justified all the faith that had been placed in you.
Yeah.
Niki, tell me about the time that you and James shared a flat in London.
We didn't share a flat. I slept a couple of times in his flat because I had no flat at the time.
Where was that flat?
Can't remember.
Earl's Court, somewhere grotty?
Yeah, could be. But we never shared a flat. I slept, I asked him, I have nowhere to sleep, can I stay with you? Yeah,
of course, Lauda, no problem. Of course, Lauda.
Yeah, we had fun with girls and whatsoever. This I remember very well.
This would have been what, 72, 71, 72?
Formula 3 times.
71 then?
71, yeah. And that started our kind of relationship.
Was the March 721X the worst Formula One car you ever drove?
Ever. This car was the first time in Yarama, tested by Ronnie Peters and myself. And Robin Hurd was there, I remember, like it would have been yesterday. Ronnie drove the car and said, not so bad. Yeah. And then I got in, and I got out and said, it's the biggest shit I've ever driven.
But it was low polar moment of inertia, Niki.
It was terrible, this car. And then Robin Hurd thought I was an idiot. Yeah, how can I say this? No experience. And then it was very quick, proven right, especially Monte Carlo then, where this stupid car, even talented Ronnie Peters couldn't do anything.
I remember watching in Formula 2 in 72, actually, in that March 722. That was quite a nice little car.
Yeah, it was good.
And you were quick in that. Alton Park, Mallory, you were not bad at all. You're up there with Ronnie. I mean, that must have been the first moment, I would guess, in your own life where you felt, I can do this.
Absolutely right. There was a race in Rouen, I think, where I won blew him off because he had a little wing in the back, and they didn't have one for me. I had the normal wing, and he made a big mistake using that little thing in the back. And then, I was there. I've seen the first time that I was competitive.
What about when you were racing closely with Helmut Marko in 2-liter sports cars?
Very little, because I only did one race in Salzburg. There was one race. So
it was never a fair comparison, is what you're saying?
There was a Chevron I suddenly got organized by the organizers for me, They won the race. It was quite funny.
How's the relationship between you and Helmut? How's it been over the years? Have you ever been close, mates?
Never close, but good, like now. Oh, maybe I take him even home tomorrow, and I mean, we're in a good relation. Even being competitors, so no problem.
It's incredible, isn't it? Those two Austrians from exactly the same time, now in Formula One, basically doing more or less the same thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Who would have thought? Niki, can I ask you about your life and how you live your life now, your health, how you've looked after your health so well, given particularly, obviously, the accident that you've had? What's the secret to it all?
Being very disciplined, had 2 kidney transplants. The last was for my now wife, Birgit, which I got to know 10 years ago. I've married with her and have 2 little kids, 4.5 years old, twins, Max and Mia. And I tell you, a lot of fun. I can't complain.
And how do you look after your own health and fitness in terms of daily routine?
I don't drink. I never drink anyway, much.
You never have done, have you?
No, don't drink, and I'm trying to stay fit and watch my body. But I have no problem whatsoever.
And do you enjoy holidays where you're doing nothing?
I don't. I hate holidays, and Birgit was the first to convince me. When I got her to know, she said we go to the Maldives for 1 week. And everybody told her who knew me, there's no way he's going to stay there for 1 week. I stayed 5 days and not 7 days. But nevertheless, she taught me that there's a 7-day holiday possible, which I never had before. Now with the kids, I've just been 1 week in North Island, Seychelles, 2 weeks ago. So I do this now for her and for the kids, and in the end for me too.
What is the greatest pleasure for you, driving a beautiful racing car on a beautiful circuit or flying a beautiful aircraft in perfect weather?
Everything at the time, everything at the time. I do enjoy, I stopped flying commercially now with 65. So I have it in my own plane, a Global 5000. And I enjoy it absolutely because it makes my life so much easier. You know, I come here, I wait until everything blows up and they fly home, or I wait longer, you know what I mean? I can do my own timing, and thank God I can afford it, because without this easy way of operating, makes my life 10 times easier than anybody else.
Are you saying that you don't think you'd do your job, the life you have now, if you had to fly commercial everywhere?
Commercial is hard, to be honest. When you get used to a private plane, and I'm used to this since the last 30 years, I would say, it's hard. I do fly commercial, there's no question. I go to Australia commercial. Yeah, so I have no problem with it, but don't get me wrong. But it makes my life easier if I don't have to fly commercial.
But going back to the question and avoiding the convenience factor, flying a plane that you really love or driving a racing car that you really felt in harmony with?
I like that Global 5000 very much, because it's an interesting plane to fly. I've always challenged myself to fly in the most perfect way you can. And the combination of this particular plane, similar to a Formula 1 car, which is competitive, let's put it this way, is the same feeling. You know, the racing car is a racing car. If it's quick, it's beautiful and nice. The same thing as an airplane. An airplane looks good, and if it flies 12 hours and 20 minutes with eight passengers from Vienna to Los Angeles, which I just had to do for this Rush movie, it's an outstanding pleasure for me to fly it myself.
Has it been a pleasure with all this Rush movie stuff, looking back at those times in such detail? I've never known you to be somebody who looks back very much.
I don't care, to be honest, because I lived it all and I knew everything about it. At the Rush movie, I remembered to many other people what really happened. This was the surprise to me, because the older generation who knew what happened never knew in details what happened, what the movie shows, the accident and then the hospital and all this. The young generation, they have no idea. And then they suddenly say, so the publicity I got through this movie is outstanding. I never expected this to be that high, because the movie was so well done. It is not because of me and the accident, the story. It is the way the movie was produced, the way the people liked the movie, and that made this whole thing come back.
So what's
strong.
it like for you now when you walk down the street in Salzburg or Vienna? People recognize you immediately?
Same as always, and now the young kids from school, 10-year-old girls suddenly wake up and say, oh, this is the Rush guy. You know what I mean?
One thing that I'd forgotten that I only remembered looking back at the pictures from '76 was that when you returned at Monza, you wore an AGV helmet again.
I did.
Which was surprising given,
Yeah, I had a contract with them.
even though it had come off and...
Yeah, I had a contract with them. But coming off, this was really my fault too. Because I should have told him in the first place that it has to be stronger fitted. But nobody thought about it, that I hit the bank so hard that I lose my helmet. To make it simple these days.
But didn't you think that after the accident? Did you think, I'm not going to wear this helmet until it is...
No, they made a new helmet for me. A new helmet for me.
Okay, so it was a
Brand
different
new.
spec.
Different spec and closer and better and whatever. Different spec, yes.
Niki, another thing that I've often wondered about you is your attention to detail. And it's a famous thing now. The seat belts should be crossed on the plane. There should be no litter anywhere. The cushions should look nice for the passengers. On the other side of the coin, you don't give the impression of being a Ron Dennis type minimalist attention to detail. There are two types of attention to detail, and yours is very different from, say, Ron's, as an example.
No, mine is practical. You have to see what can you achieve without breaking everybody's balls unnecessary. Because if we do too much, then you don't get anywhere. You stop because you get, let's say, an opposition to the thing. And I think I found the right way, but nevertheless I see things which other people don't see since today. You know, I look at something and say, hey, what is this? I don't know why. I pick things
Give me
easy.
an example.
I give you an example. The best was on airplanes. There was a 344-seater 777. And when I took over, I walked through the cabin and looked around. If it is clean, and if there's nothing on the floor and behind whatever. And then I opened one ashtray, there's a chewing gum. And then I said to Kevin, hey, why is there chewing gum? How did you pick this? I said, I don't know, but there is one in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they should look into all the ashtrays. And this kind of, I have this, I don't know why, I have this attention to details.
But what do you think about aesthetics, the way things look? Buildings, clothing, people?
Clothing, I don't care. Clothing, because I use my jeans and that's it. Unless there's a certain appearance I have to do, like with this movie, I had to get this black tie business going, which I didn't have. So I bought myself one. But all the rest, sure, I like people when they're dressed nice. I see this, but it doesn't. I'm not interested in it personally.
You don't go out and spend a lot of money shopping for clothes?
Not at all. I go to America, buy myself some jeans, and that's it. Sweaters and nothing. Shopping is a 10-minute. I need somebody to guide me in this big shopping center. Where's the Levi's shop? Where's this? Where's that? And I go in, out, and buy everything in 1 hour, and off I go.
Niki, what's going on with the world at the moment? The airline industry is in chaos. Qantas just had to lay off 5,000 people. Formula One, McLaren can't get a title sponsor. Everything's changing. Everything's changing. The world is in turmoil.
No, the airline business is always the same. The people who know how to run an airline, they're always successful. The people who don't, they are not successful. And if things hit by a market problem, then you have to react in time to change things. And Qantas, for whatever reason, was the most successful airline in the past. Then British Airways got involved, then Emirates got involved, and now they only fly up to Dubai and back and forward. So the strategy they're doing is sometimes wrong. And strategy changes in airlines always takes 2 or 3 years to make them happen. Because you cannot change something and expect the next day that everybody jumps on your planes. So the airline industry is as difficult as always, but the big good airlines like Emirates and the Singapores and call them whatever, even in America now, they're all making money again. So it's cycles which are known, and the ones who are more clever, they have less cycles and always make a profit, one less or one wrong. Formula One is a different thing because it all depends on how the world economy works. The last 3 years it was difficult for the economy. The big companies didn't make as much money as before, and suddenly the sponsorship gets less. Marketing is always reduced when things go wrong in a business. And this is also normal. So Formula One can only react in the same way as the airlines have to react. If there's less money coming in, you have to run your team cheaper. It's very simple.
And now the engines are actually costing 3 times more than they did last year.
It was a decision they took 5 years ago. I was not part of this.
No.
It happened, so why are they complaining?
But interestingly, Bernie was wanting to stop it as recently as 12 months ago.
Yeah, but this cannot happen. Yeah, Bernie for sure was not in favor of this new engine. This came from the FIA. Started with a 4-cylinder, which is ridiculous. Ended in a compromise with a 6-cylinder, hybrid, turbocharged, whatever. For Mercedes, for Ferraris, for these big companies, it's a good way of going because there's at least something from turbochargers or whatever they can learn. So for the big manufacturers, good. For the sport to be in crisis now with less sponsorship and get hit by a more expensive engine bill is the wrong timing. But I mean, this is bad luck. But you can't change it. It makes no sense to complain about it because this was an ongoing program and it just happened.
In the context of the original Lauda Air, what do you think about the general approach of humanity to business, which is start small, grow, get taken over? I'm not saying that happened with Lauda Air, but it happens a lot with airlines, it happens with businesses in general. Is bigger always better? Are takeovers always the end game? And is that the right way for human beings to be moving forward?
It all depends. What is your business case? Because in my business case, I want to generate a high quality level of flying, even to Australia, with a better product.
Which you did.
So I was product driven to give passengers a different feeling flying with me than with others, because then I can charge them in the end a little more money. First of all, the money is always important. Everybody looks at the money, how much you pay from A to B. But if the difference is small to the competitors and you offer them newspapers and better food, they are happy and stay with you. So this is a system which even has to apply today. So why are the Emirates so successful? They are cheaper and better, to make it simple. The seats and Singapore's and all this. Why are the Lufthansa's more expensive with worse seats and less food? It's ridiculous. So why would he fly Lufthansa? Just Marco told me he goes to Australia with Singapore Airlines. And not with Lufthansa because they're 30% cheaper and better. And this is what these big airlines sometimes forget. They're not flying for themselves. Unions getting the cost down, fighting forward and back. They forget the asset, which is the passenger. If they are happy, they continuously come back and your loads go up. And this, they seem to lose track on that. So this is, for me, the biggest mistake in airlines. On the other hand, I built Lauda up all the way to really break the balls of Austrian Airlines. I had Lufthansa as a shareholder, and then Lufthansa and I decided we're going to take Austrian Airlines into the group to have less competition in Austria because it's a small market, make the economy of an airline easier. But I made the biggest mistake I did, I only did it once, that the culture of Austrian Airlines was the opposite to Lauda Air, privately run company. And
what was the
Lauda Air?
No, but what was the opposite?
Austrian Airlines culture.
Culture. Sorry, yeah.
So and I thought that with the Tyrolean and Lauda Air joining Austrian, we're going to speed them up. But the opposite happened. The avalanche was pushing down on us, and they always told us how to run an airline. So in the end, I said, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Buy my share. Because like this, we cannot work. My philosophy is a different one than yours. And then I sold them my shares, which for me was fine and was the right thing to do. Then I had a 3-year stop. I was not allowed to run another airline of competition clause. And then suddenly I looked around and thought, what can I do now in a new concept with low cost? So I went to EasyJet's, Ryanair's, looked around how this thing worked, and said, why can I not offer a cheaper ticket than all the others and a better product? Same thing. And then I was thinking how, with a white piece of paper, how can I start a low-cost airline? It was very simple, no unions, no this, no that. Negotiate well with Airbus at the time to get the airplanes cheaper. I always said, listen, if I buy them more expensive than the others, I can never win. So I did a good job then. Then I joined forces with Air Berlin right away because of the sales power they had and the mass of airplanes and passengers. You
Yep.
need a critical mass to overcome that the other people kill you. Got together with Air Berlin, used all their sales power, and had the airline for 9 years, always making money, always making from day one. And then they were running bad, Air Berlin, and they wanted to buy my airline. That's fine, you can have it. So from this point of view, I was I had a good job from my point of view.
Formula One, though, does have the ethos of always expanding as many races as they possibly can. Push, 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 more money, bigger, bigger, bigger. Is that right?
No, because now we are ending up with 20 races. There have been 21 before, or 22 even, I can't remember. So I think it's even out now a bit, because Formula One is under pressure again with a normal crisis where organizers cannot make enough money with the cost of Formula One to continue. So therefore Bernie is using other markets where, like Bahrain, for example, the government pays for the race for publicity for the country, or Korea is a bad example. There's some, or Austin even, Texas. So there are different ways of getting the sport in different areas of the world. I think Bernie does a good job on that.
Nicest Formula One car you ever drove?
The one you win in. Whatever is born ugly, as soon as you win it, looks good.
Ferrari 312T.
Yeah, it was a good car. Good. I liked it.
Most balls out lap of all time, pole at Monaco, 76.
Yeah. No.
I remember crash risk, 99% it was, I think.
Yeah, true.
Up to Casino Square.
Yeah, good lap.
You did it all, Niki. You survived.
Yeah, thank God.
Thanks.
Okay.